Hi everyone and welcome to the COAF podcast. This is Nana Vardanyan from the communications team at COAF. This year, one of the most exciting happenings at COAF was the new members joining our team. The good news is the COAF family is expanding both by its size and geography. Today I have a special guest. I will be talking to Nairi Zadikian from Brazil, who has recently joined COAF as a civil engineer. Hi Nairi, welcome to the show.
Hi Nanette, thanks for having me.
Please tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you from, what's your profession, and what do you currently do at COAF?
Well, I'm a civil engineer. I am from Brazil, São Paulo. In the beginning of 2021, I had the enormous pleasure of joining COAF's team as a civil engineer. Since then, I have been mostly involved at Smart Debate program. More specifically, I am responsible for the renovation of the Debate municipality's building and its working rooms. We have also recently delivered the new renovation of a brand new conference room in the same building.
What is São Paulo famous for? Tell us a bit about your birthplace.
As you said, I was born and raised in São Paulo, Brazil. When people think about Brazil, I'm pretty sure that the first thing they think about are carnival, football, soap operas, especially here in Armenia, where people apparently used to be keen on Brazilian soap operas until the last decade. Of course, all of those things I mentioned are very cliché, but somehow also represent Brazil. However, when it comes to the routine, São Paulo is an enormous city known as the city that never sleeps, or city of stones, referring to its cosmopolitan life and skyscrapers built of concrete.
What does it mean to grow up as an Armenian in the diaspora?
Well, to be honest with you, it's not easy to grow as Armenian in diaspora. I mean, it's pretty hard to maintain the language, the culture, the traditions outside Armenia. But it's even more challenging, in my opinion, to find a balance between keeping your roots and also developing yourself as a regular Brazilian citizen. Mainly because Brazil is a country, as you probably know, formed essentially by immigrants, and miscegenation is a very common thing. However, I managed to go to the Armenian school, Armenian folk dance group, and I had the biggest luck of visiting Armenia twice before making up my mind on repatriation.
Nadia, I know you have moved to Armenia permanently, and I wonder, have you had any trips before that?
Actually, yes. I visited Armenia for the first time in 2010, 11 years ago. By that time, I remember talking very poor Armenian. The trip wasn't long, but it was enough for me to visit the most famous places in our homeland and also get to know my relatives who live here. Although Armenia seemed beautiful, just as romantic as I learned at school, I was only 15 years old, and to be honest with you, I didn't know that someday I would move here.
How did you decide that it was time for you to repatriate, and what moved you to do so?
I decided to repatriate when I realized that I no longer belong to diaspora as a diasporan Armenian. I think that came to my mind especially in 2014 when I visited Armenia as a participant in a student forum with diasporan students from all over the world. And by that time, I realized that I identified more with local people, their local problems, their local issues, and their everyday routine than with the diasporan Armenian. I realized that the fact of being Armenian had provided me the essential tools to develop my identity the way I am today, and it didn't look fair or right to be in diaspora as an Armenian, and that's why repatriating was a very natural decision for me. It was time to give back to my homeland somehow.
And now that you've lived here for 3 years already, right? 3 years?
Yeah, right.
What's the difference for you between visiting Armenia as a tourist or for a short stay and being a permanent resident?
Being a permanent resident is a totally different story than just visiting Armenia during the summer. Even though I used to follow the news from Armenia in Brazil, I used to talk with my relatives who lived here, and I was aware of the issues of living here. I only comprehended that completely when I felt in my own skin. Mainly, I can say that I started to understand many social, political, and economic issues, which I wasn't able to do completely when living in diaspora. Even now that I live here, I accept that it is nothing compared to people who have been raised here and have been living here for a long time and had to go through different type of problems during the past decades. But over time, I understood that living here and learning with those people who are real locals, I can understand the reason why they think some way or the way they are. I can understand the reasons why they are like that.
And how do you feel here? What are your favorite things about living in Armenia?
One of my favorite things about living in Armenia is the networking and how people magically connect to each other in a very special and particular way. Here in Armenia, it's easy to meet people, to gather with your friends, to get somewhere without scheduling weeks in advance and or drive 2 hours in the traffic jam to get somewhere. And above all, I think that I love the feeling of being Armenian in my own land.
I love it. And are there any characteristics and habits that you've brought with you from Brazil?
Certainly, yes. I brought the food, I think, such as brigadeiro, coxinha, which are Brazilian food that I love. And I try to recreate here in Armenia with the ingredients that we have. And maybe some ways of living the life, like in Brazil, it's very common to say jeitinho brasileiro or gambiarra. And it's pretty known, and it refers to how Brazilians solve problems, usually with lots of creativity and without stressing out about a problem or doing so much mess about it. No, they have a lot of creativity and they improvise a lot.
Can you repeat it, please? And how do you translate it?
The pronunciation is jeitinho brasileiro.
Jeitinho brasileiro.
Yes. And the translation is Brazilian way. The Brazilian way of doing things.
I see. Great. Spring is here, and what are you most looking forward to in 2021?
Well, after a whole year trying to live with coronavirus, I guess my biggest wish is that the pandemic ends so we finally can travel, live regularly, and hug our loved ones.
Are there any architect or architectural pieces that you admire as an engineer?
Of course. I admire Oscar Niemeyer's architectural pieces. He was a Brazilian architect, and besides having designed Brazil's capital, Brasilia, his architectural works inspire different people worldwide. Among his projects, I can emphasize Brasilia's cathedral and also the Communist Party's building in Paris.
Nairi, it was such a pleasure to talk to you today. Thanks for traveling to the COAF Center with me.
Thank you, too.
Thank you all for listening. We look forward to bringing more voices of COAF closer to you. If you enjoy listening to the COAF podcast, don't forget to subscribe to our channels on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Until next time.